Hello, online designers. Let's talk about your major assignment configuration. This will be done in two parts. Basically, you are creating the handout for a major assignment in your course, and then you will share that assignment with one of your peers so that they can help you see your assignment with new eyes, that is, from the perspective of a student, so that you can start to get an idea of the questions and confusions that can arise when you are delivering an assignment description online. I don't know about you, but whenever I introduce an assignment to my students in a face-to-face class, I have a long handout that I go through step by step. The students look at it for a little while. We have a back and forth with questions. I might show them examples of things. And a lot of information that doesn't appear on that handout really does make it into the conversation that I have with students. So what we need to do is try to anticipate what the content of that conversation would be. That is, what are the questions, the pain points, the misconceptions that students may have with this assignment, and how can we react to or give more information to students with questions that we don't anticipate. So to that end, I have put together this major assignment configuration that asks you to produce that handout, articulate grading criteria, and then eventually we will peer review each other's work. So when it comes to what I want you to do, basically I want you to put together an assignment handout like this. And it's really important that you include these three components in your handout: a purpose for the assignment, specific instructions for students, and then how you will be grading or evaluating them. Now, the reason why I want you to include a purpose is because students should have an idea of where this assignment fits in your class. What learning objectives does it help you measure? Or what vital skills does it help them practice? When students, especially returning adult students, do coursework or complete an assignment, they really want to know why they're doing it. They want it to take place in some sort of a context. And when so much of our context is stripped away in the online sphere, just a lot more questions than usual may arise. And so I've put together some questions for you to consider as you articulate that purpose, and then as you devise specific instructions. As we know full well, there are myriad ways that students can, despite our best and their best intentions, students can get confused about what it is that we want them to do. So I have included also questions that you should take into account when writing these instructions. Are you paying attention to all of the different parts of the assignment that you're asking students to complete? Are you paying attention to and explaining how they should turn it in, what format it should take? Anything from the size of the font that you want them to use, to the file extension that they should be using, to resources that they should be looking at in order to complete the assignment. You have a lot of information to deliver in this handout. And you also might consider doing something like this, that is, recording a video that is that couple of minutes of setup that you might do in a face-to-face class. And then perhaps you might supplement that with a discussion board topic that's specifically about the assignment, so that you're getting students from all of these different avenues when it comes to explaining to them what they need to do. You have a handout, you have some sort of video, you have an asynchronous back and forth that the whole class can benefit from. All of these are best practices that you can consider integrating into your major assignment configuration. I also want you to think about too, especially if this is an assignment that you have used in a face-to-face course, how is that assignment different in an online course, other than the fact that it's going to be turned in online? It might not be all that different. If they're writing a paper face-to-face, it's not going to be that different when they turn it in online. You might already use D2L to do precisely that. But if they're doing something like a presentation or group work, how are you going to support those more complicated assignment setups? What kinds of materials can you give to students, whether they be group contracts or alternatives to doing a narrated video versus a paper versus a Prezi, just all sorts of presentation options. You really do have to spell all of that out for students. And the more, well, maybe not the more options, the better, but giving students some kind of choice definitely does appeal to their learning preferences. So how might the online mode, for all of the things that it seems to take away, how might the online mode actually give us more opportunity here, more opportunity for students to express themselves, their learning, their journey in completing or achieving the outcomes for your course. Online does open up some new possibilities. Of course, they require some work on your part to explain the logistics and provide the know-how and guidance that students will need. So all of these bullets here do give you some guidance on some information to consider including, and this isn't a scattershot list. I think that if you address most, if not all of these bullets, you'll have a pretty complete assignment handout. And then finally, you should have some sort of grading criteria articulated, if not a rubric. This is also a best practice in online teaching. Are you showing students specifically how they'll be evaluated? And that can be in the form of a rubric, which not everybody uses. Some people just want to give the criteria but not break things down into a grid like this. That's entirely up to you. If you are using a rubric, you can also include one like this and not necessarily build it into the D2L rubric tool, which is a bit unwieldy. So the way that I'm grading you, and I'm trying to model for you, that I hope that you can take into account when you are explaining to students how they'll be evaluated, is what are the most important things that you want students to walk away with. And so that's how I'll be evaluating you. The purpose of your assignment, how clear and concise and thorough your instructions are. Have you given particular helpful guidance about the formatting and logistics of submitting the assignment? And then have you articulated how they will be graded? How will you know that they have learned what it is that you want them to have learned? A really concise way of showing students what you're looking for, not in a treasure hunt kind of way, but it really does help students to see examples of other students' work, and not just good ones either. Showing them something that was less successful and being able to explain to them why. And if you have a rubric that shows why, that's even more clear. So obviously you're not going to be able to anticipate absolutely everything that could be misunderstood or could go wrong or questions that might come up, but this major assignment configuration is an attempt to get you as close as you can to an assignment handout that will save you time later on.